Hello and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook every morning at 10:30 in the morning, where we take a look at headlines, stories, comments, and suggestions from the world around us and from our friends about how to have an awesome life here in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community. It is always a pleasure to get together with all our friends every morning. And Paul says, peekaboo, I saw you for a split second. Yes, I thought I was going to make the common mistake of keeping myself on at the beginning, but I very quickly pushed a button and I avoided that. Anyhow, if you are new to these broadcasts, my name is Paco, and we'd love to give you a good welcome. And we can do that if you write the word new in your comment. What will you get if you write the word new? Well, we won't give you a lollipop, that's for sure. But we will at least have the opportunity to say, welcome to Coffee and Headlines. For the rest of us that are here, it's always wonderful to see familiar faces every single morning. Today is no exception. And today we have a great batch of headlines to talk about. We're going to have a poll today because, somebody mentioned the plans that Act 2 Entertainment has unveiled to have an outdoor venue, and this started a couple of conversations in my circle, and we're going to have a poll later on in the broadcast. Are we ready to go to venues to watch shows? And we'll get to that in a second. We're going to learn about Beatriz Gutierrez. Some of you may know who she is, some of you may not know who she is, but she is knocking on doors and having a good time in Europe. We will find out why this matters. And there seem to be some copycat sculptures being installed in other places in Mexico. Or does Puerto Vallarta have exclusivity over the sculptures that we have at the Malecón? I guess we're going to find out as we move forward through the broadcast. Before we get started with the news, let me take a quick look at whether there's any important comments that we should take a look at. As you know, if you have something really important that you want to share with us, please write the letter Q so that we can make sure to talk about it. Are you starting early? You folks, you just love to pick on my pronunciation, you guys. I'm going to be so persistent with you when I meet you and I hear you speaking Spanish. Poll. Oh, fuck it. You know what I mean. We're going to have a questionnaire. Okay, so we're all here. Let's get started with the news. Bam! Of course, the news are not set up. Nice. Let me set this up. There we go. So, I'm going to get to that question in a second, James. Give me a moment. The traffic light, the federal traffic light for COVID has been released again. And this week we are sad over the fact that a few states that were already in yellow color went back to orange. As of yesterday, 17 states are in orange, 14 are in yellow, and 1 is in green. Needless to say, Jalisco didn't change. We are still in the orange. Let me see if I have a list. Yes, we have 17 states in the orange, which include Aguascalientes, Mexico City, Chihuahua, Coahuila, Colima, Durango, State of Mexico, Guerrero, Hidalgo, Jalisco, Nayarit, Nuevo León, Oaxaca, Querétaro, Sinaloa, Yucatán, and Zacatecas. and the rest of the states are in yellow, and there is one state that is in the green that is not mentioned here, and I should know what state that is. And I think it is no, not Michoacan, Yucatan. No, not Yucatan. I'll be darned. I'll be darned. I don't remember what state is in the green, but I do know that there is a state in the green. It is not mentioned in this news item. Moving on, Uber will now ask you to provide a selfie before you hop on an Uber car if you have previously refused to wear one. And I know this for a fact, not because I refused to wear one, but because Uber sent me an email message, and you probably got one too if you're a customer, saying that if you refuse to wear a face mask, you're going to get flagged in the system. And moving on, they're going to ask you for a selfie before they send a car to pick you up. So make sure that you keep that in mind when you're hopping on an Uber, and also make sure that you make sure that the Uber driver is wearing one as well. Whatever Fauci says. Anthony Fauci has said that the White House super spreader event is proof of masks working. And I mentioned this not so much for the political statement, but for the fact that we already know that masks are a good thing, and it is important to keep wearing them rather. And now, well, let's talk about Beatriz Gutierrez. And Beatriz Gutierrez, in case you didn't know, Beatriz Gutierrez is the wife of our president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. She usually goes by her own name. She's a writer. She is an intellectual. She is a prominent academic in Mexico. And she is everything but a first lady. One of the things, I'm tempted to say peculiarities, but it's not a peculiarity. One of the choices that President López Obrador and his wife made from the get-go is that she would not be the first lady. She has never been interested in being a first lady per se, and but she continues to be active in her private world, but also in her personal world. And of course, López Obrador was invited to inaugurate this important pre-Hispanic exposition in Paris, and he sent his wife Elizabeth instead. So she made stops at this exhibition in Paris that showcases the Olmec cultures from Mexico, and she signed the book, curiously, as Beatriz Gutiérrez de López Obrador, which is what Latin American wives usually do. They add the last name of their husbands, which is rather exceptional in her case because she always goes as Beatriz Gutierrez Müller, which is her maiden name. Afterwards, she went to Italy, where she had a meeting with the president of Italy. She delivered a letter from President López Obrador in which López Obrador is asking to borrow 2 Mexica codexes that are obviously in Italy, so that probably they will be brought back to Mexico for an exhibition. We don't know exactly why López Obrador wants to borrow them. And she also met with the Pope. She met with Francisco, the Papa Francisco, at the Vatican. So it's nice to see that our president's wife is going out and about and fulfilling this role while he is busy here doing whatever he needs to be doing. Let me very quickly take a look at your comments before we move on with the news. Boom, ba-dim, pam, 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 pam. James is wondering what's going on with Joan Houston's on Isla del Rio Cuale. Well, James, I'll have you know that I'm going to go take some pictures today. Yesterday, I was in that part of town. I rode an Uber on the way back to my home. I asked the Uber to take the city route rather than the Libramiento so that I could see what's new here and there. And I was able to take a peek at that side of the island, and it looks like it has already been fixed up. So I'm going to be there this afternoon. I have some errands to run in Emiliano Zapata, so I will be taking some photographs, but I think it's going to look quite nice. I really do. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Half the time, Paul, I have no idea what I'm saying, right or wrong. I really don't. Ba, ba, da, ba, 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 ba. Um, oh yes. Oh yeah. That is an easy confusion. That is an easy confusion. I used to work. Well, never mind where I used to work. But that's the beach and the bitch. Those are tricky. Those are tricky words. Let's see. Let's see. Yay! Robert has reservations. Good for you. Noy says, stay safe, my friend. I am concerned. I am too, Noy, but I continue to be wowed at the beautiful videos that you are producing. If you ever want to know about Thai food cooking, I mean, you should really look at the videos that Noy is putting together. And Noy, please share your YouTube channel URL so that people can tune in. Please do that. Let's see. Last week, I had 3 drivers in a row who were not wearing a mask. I was. Raymond, if those were Uber drivers, I would flag them. I really would. I would actually mention it to them. Hey, would you mind wearing that? Um, so it is something that concerns me. I mean, it should concern all of us. Um, Jaime brings up. James brings this important point. Yeah, if they're not wearing masks, simply cancel the ride or say to them, I will if you don't wear a mask, I will not get on board. Ba-ding, bum, 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 bum. Um, ah, good for you. Good for you. She is representing her husband for a state function. There you go. Yeah, maybe that's why she signed the way she signed. Steve, let's have cocktails. Maybe if we have cocktails, I will infuse some Spanish your way or something. I don't know. La 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 la. Um, okay, so let me move on with the news because we're at that point. I only have one more formal news item, and this has to do with the Mantamar incident. Both local and state news outlets have published the amount of money that Mantamar paid as a fine for the people that decided to flash their Midlands in their transparent pool. Do you have any guesses as to what that amount was? Drum roll. Boom. 22,000 pesos was the fine that Mantamar paid for having those 2 tourists flash their weenies while they were frolicking in the pool. The place was not shut down, and it's still operating. I don't know that that's good or bad. I really, well, I don't know. I just thought you'd want to know what the fine was. I can probably afford 4.5, maybe 5 months of rent with 22,000 pesos. But that's what it is, and that's what it was. So let me take a look. Oh, thank you very much. Noy has shared her YouTube channel with all of us. Feel free to take a look. She is my darling little Thai sister, and she is a huge inspiration. May you come back to Puerto Vallarta sometime soon, Noy, so that we can enjoy your wonderful creativity. I really hope that is the case. Mwah. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the weather, and then we will take a look at a poll that I put together for you. Bam! Okay, so it's 27 degrees Celsius, feels like 31 Fahrenheit. It's 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and the humidity is high again. It's 89%. We have a 10% chance of precipitation right now, and the weather forecast says that we are going to have rain in the morning. I think I missed it. It's completely sunny here, and tomorrow it's going to be humid and partly cloudy through the day. And on Monday, we can expect rain in the evening. I wonder if there's another storm system headed our way. I haven't read anything specific about that. But, rain is welcome as whenever we get it. I love the rain. Now, yesterday, we were talking about, we were not talking. Somebody mentioned in the comments that Act 2 Entertainment has unveiled plans for a new outdoor venue that is going to go on their roof deck. And Danny Menini shared this rendering of it, and apparently it's going to have a stage, and it's going to have carefully distanced sitting in front of the stage, another area over here for cocktails maybe, and I almost think I see another mini stage back here, or I don't know what this is. Maybe this is backstage. I don't know. But clearly what they're trying to do is to make sure that they can get some business, and we hope that Act Two can get some business in the coming months. This is the month of October, so usually those of us that have any interest in live performances are starting to wonder this time of year, well, who's going to visit our city during the season? Usually at this time, most of the venues are starting to reveal their plans for the season. Needless to say, things are very different this year, and we just don't know exactly who the venues are talking to or what kind of deals they're making, because the venues are probably wondering, well, are people going to come? You know, even if we got the best performers, you know, are people feeling comfortable enough coming to the venues? So, because I'm curious about that as well, I put together this poll, you know, because we have, there you go, publish. There you go. We have The Palm, we have Act Two, we have Encanto. There's that new venue called Jesse and James, which is a 3-story venue. I don't know if you've heard about it. There is Plataforma 322. Most of the venues are indoor venues. Well, Plataforma has a lot of space outdoors. I suppose they could do something. But the bottom line is, regardless of what the venues put together, even if the artist that you really want to see happens to be scheduled and the price is right and you are in town and you want to go see it, are you feeling comfortable now to go to a venue to enjoy a live performance? I am looking at your answers right now, and we will keep the poll open so that you have a chance to click on the button, and we'll get to the results at the end of this segment. Meanwhile, let me go back to the leisurely stuff. Boom, 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 bam. And I love Vallarta Opina because they keep publishing these news notes that say, well, tourism is increasing and tourism's looking great. They never actually give us like the source of the information, but you gotta love Vallarta Opina because they're always on the optimist side. The headline says Puerto Vallarta receives reservations for October and November. Winter looks good. But we don't see any specific information as to where they got this assessment. It just says that hotels are getting reservations. So the headline is really hotels are getting reservations. Yay! I guess it's important because it's nice to know that this is happening. I am always amused about the fact that we never know specific sources as to where the information comes from, but I guess this is the way it is here in town. Now, look at this sculpture. Looks familiar to you? Well, it was installed in a city in Sonora, in Navojoa. The city of Navojoa has commissioned Sergio Bustamante to put together another one of these In Search of Reason sculptures in Navojoa. And this got some people frumping as to why would another city copy our sculpture. But come to think of it, this is really not our sculpture. If the author of the sculpture, whose name is Sergio Bustamante, chooses to have another one installed elsewhere, you know, unless he signed some kind of agreement that he would not put other reproductions elsewhere, there's nothing we can do. But curiously enough, the city of Navojoa claims that it was the mayor, Maria del Rosario, said, well, we identify with this sculpture. We feel very much identified with it. So this represents our people. So if the city of Navojoa wants to be represented by the same sculpture that represents Puerto Vallarta, I guess so be it. There you go. Moving right along, this has very little to do with anything, but I found it fascinating and definitely something that I'm going to read a little bit more about. And this is an article in Spanish, but if it's great, I will talk about it in the future if you think it's interesting to you. But I found this article in El Universal that talks about the first kiosks that arrived in Mexico. And according to this article, kiosks had their origin in France and they first arrived in Mexico in 1878. The first kiosk to be installed in Mexico was this one, which lived in the Zócalo in Mexico City until 19 was it 1910 that it said? Yes, until 1910. So it was installed in the Zócalo and it remained there. And then the article continues to mention other peculiar kiosks throughout Mexico and the history of them. Like this one is really interesting because this one has a spiral staircase in the bottom. And apparently, this is located in the town of Huejutla in the state of Hidalgo. How interesting that is. Well, at the least, it was interesting to me. What can I say? And before we continue, we are going to let me take a look at your comments and let us take a look at the results of that poll. Boom, but first, let me look at your comments very quickly. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Steve, this is wonderful. That's a nice thought. Thank you very much. And we look forward to welcoming you to Puerto Vallarta when you retire in April of 2021. May Coffee and Headlines be a source or a tool for you as you try to move forward in getting answers for the kinds of questions that us locals have, Steve. I really hope that we can continue to be of support to you or anyone that is in the process of moving to Puerto Vallarta. My little sister Noy wants to come back. I don't have any idea how badly you want to come. No, I do have an idea because I know that you have huge, powerful ties in this town, and we will never forget that. Absolutely. Lynn says that the weather therapist is wrong. The weather therapist. What was the weather therapist saying? I didn't even notice. But let's take a look. He was saying, what was the weather therapist saying? Weather therapist has changed his tune. Let's see. Oh, your therapist is right. You do suck. Oh, absolutely. That's not correct. That's not a nice thing to say. You are absolutely right. So let's see. Does anyone have a link to the video at the Mantamar incident? I think it was just torn down. I don't think anybody kept it. I sure didn't keep it. Let's see. Great idea for Act 2. I'd go if the setup is like that. Raymond thinks Act 2's first show should be Fiddler on the Roof. That's really cute. That's a great idea for Act 2. But again, the bottom line is, will you go or will you not go? We'll take a look at the poll results in a second. Indoors is the quickest way to gzz. I suppose gzz means something, but I'm not entirely sure what that is. More outdoor venues would be great. Isn't that the case? The movies are open as long as they have distancing and good cleaning practices. I went to the movies and I felt very safe. I really did. But of course, the movies, and we were talking about this yesterday, the movies, the local theater is not just a local theater. The local Cinépolis is part of a huge company. So if a local theater fucks it up, it's not only the local theater that's fucking it up, it's fucking it up for the entire chain of movie theaters. So the responsibility is huge. Am I hinting that a chain would be more careful than an individual system? Not necessarily, but I do think that I'm inclined to feel safer at the movie theater just because they have a larger exercise of policies and procedures. Isn't going to Act 2 the same as movie theater? In a way, yes. In a way, no. It has a lot to do. For me, it has a lot to do with ventilation, the size of the venue, how many people are there. And we've seen, the charts that we were looking at yesterday, or the day before that were released by Oxford University have everything to do with how many people are there, how well ventilated is the venue, so forth and so on. Lynn asks, do I have an update on flight arrival numbers? As a matter of fact, I don't, Lynn, but as soon as I see a headline that talks about this, I'll be more than happy to share. I just read that the mayor is threatening to shut us down again. I don't know who to believe. I don't blame you, Linda. It's just one of those things in which, it must be difficult for our leaders. On the one hand, they don't want to shut anything down because they know that this would be catastrophic for our economy. On the other hand, there's been so many threats that it's easy to see how part of the population starts feeling a little numb about them. So I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. What is the equivalent to kiosco in English? Isn't it kiosk? Isn't it kiosk, the word? I said it earlier. And somebody's calling them a gazebo. Oh, that's right, a gazebo. I suppose a gazebo or a kiosk is about the same. Okay, so we are here and no more questions. So let's take a look at the poll. The poll shows me what I suspected, which is that many of you are simply not ready to go to an indoor venue to see a show. And I'm not surprised. And this is difficult to read because, we love going to shows and we want our local venues to be successful. And we're going to continue to do these polls because if in any way we can help businesses make a decision as to whether it is a good time for them to open or to do things or not, then we are happy to help. Now, before we go, I'm going to use a Karen as a platform to show you a wonderful Spanish expression. And I'm going to type it and I'm going to put it on the screen. Mi vida cosita. There you go. So let me explain this expression, which is here, so that I can tell you what is that we're going to end up with. I've been putting together a list of Spanish expressions for you to learn to wow your Spanish-speaking friends. Now, this is beyond buenos dias and buenas tardes and the basic stuff that I know you already know because you're responsible English-speaking people living in Puerto Vallarta. But I thought, what about great, peculiar, unexpected Spanish expressions that you could just mutter in the middle of a dinner and having your Spanish friends go, wow, ¿dónde aprendiste eso? Where did you learn that expression? So one of those expressions is mi vida / cosita. And I need to explain this to you because this expression is what I felt when I read about this pet shop Karen that called 911 after being told to put on her mask. And I'm going to show you the Karen in a second. I don't like to pick on Karens because Karens come from another country. I don't mind picking on lords and ladies. But let me tell you quickly about mi vida en cosita as a preview of this segment that I'm working on. Mi vida, yes, Juan Pablo says cosita, cosita. I love it because we use this very much. Okay, mi vida en cosita. First of all, mi vida means my life, literally, but it's really means my darling. Cosita is the diminutive of cosa, and cosa means thing. So cosita is little thing, as in something really precious. Mi vida en cosita are expressions that we use when we are overwhelmed with cuteness. Cuteness about something or someone. And they have to be pronounced as such. They are a distant relative of cuchi cuchi cu. Now, if you just say cuchi cuchi cu, it means nothing. You have to go, ooh, cuchi cuchi cu. That kind of a thing. Okay, so mi vida or cosita. Let's say your best friend shows you her newborn baby. You go, mi vida, oh, mi vida. or your next door neighbor shows you her new furry cat, you can go cosita, cosita. So these can used by themselves, can be used by themselves, or they can be used as a combo. You can go mi vida, cosita. So they're really wonderful. And so if you see a cute toy, if you see a cute parrot, a stuffed animal, exactly like that. But, and Edgar is getting ahead of me, everything changes with the way you say the expression. And this is the fabulous thing. You can also use the same expressions, but if you are feeling or you're pretending to feel pity for someone, mi vida and cosita become distant relatives of, oh, poor baby. And there's some sarcasm involved in the way you say the expression. So you can also be sarcastic. Edgar Edgar cuts to the chase, and he says when their thing is, and you know what I mean by thing, when their thing is tiny, when the tool is small, you can really denigrate someone by saying, "Oh, cosita." So you don't, if you just met a date and you got naked and you're looking at his peenie, and his peenie is teeny weeny, you don't want to use that because you don't want to make fun of that. Let's see. So anyhow, so I felt this sense of, oh, you poor baby, when I read about this woman who is a pet shop Karen. And apparently she was told to put on a face mask when she wanted to enter a pet shop, and the owner of the shop or the guy in charge refused to, and she threatened to call 911. So I imagine the telephone call, and I imagine, I'm sorry, I need help because they're not letting me in to a store because I refuse to wear a face mask. And my first thought was, ay, mi vida. Oh, you poor thing. So you see, mi vida and cosita can be very endearing, or you can be totally bitchy when you use those expressions. And that, okay, how do you say size queen in Spanish? I don't know. Juan Pablo, help me. Edgar, help me. How do you say size queen in Spanish? ¿Cómo se dice size queen en español? Help me out, guys. I don't know that I've ever thought about size queen in Spanish. Let me take a quick look at your final comments because we're about to leave. Let's see. Juan Pablo loved cosita, and I like that Juan Pablo loved cosita because it's a common expression. Lisa loves the Spanish sayings. I love the fact that you do because I really have fun talking about Spanish and language. Jorge is absolutely right. Cosita, it has everything to do with how you say it. Thank you for your comment, Lynn. I appreciate that. Your amiga loves your use of chingadera. It's chingadera, not chingalara, my darling. It's chingadera. Let's see. James Binder, not literal translation, but you can say that's dirty. Goloso or golosa is somebody that likes sweets. That is the very real, very formal, very legitimate word. So if you say golosa or goloso, it's somebody that likes sweet. But goloso is also an expression used for somebody that likes to, the pickle tickle quite a bit. Edgar suggests that for a size queen might say, oh, que cosota, as in what a big thing. No, we don't call them... Juan Pablo, that is just so obscure. Boquetona. Those are very, very obscure. You're entering in the deep realms of Spanish expressions. I don't know that our viewership is ready for that. But I'll hold on to that. Luna is definitely a cosita, absolutely. Anyhow, some of you are starting to say goodbye, and that means that I'm rambling, so I'm going to say goodbye too. Thank you very much, as always, for joining us on Coffee and Headlines. Tomorrow is Sunday. Tomorrow is Sunday Fun Day. As you know, we will talk about nothing that has anything to do with bad news tomorrow. Tomorrow, nothing is sacred. No one is safe. We become as juvenile as humanly possible, and we're going to see how Sunday unfolds. Between then and now, I hope you have a truly awesome day. Have a great one.